There it is. Hey guys, this is Witty and welcome back to another Witty Fitness vlog, number 3 this one, and it's actually day 1 of the fitness lifestyle. I wouldn't say diet, it's a lifestyle. It's a thing for life, locked in for life, and I started off my day today with some wheat shreds. Yes, I decided to experiment a little bit because I'm trying to avoid all dairy, including eggs, although I might cave into eggs eventually if I can be convinced enough that they're okay. But otherwise I feel that dairy doesn't necessarily fit too well with my sort of my system, my body. I never feel that good when I eat dairy products, whether it's milk or eggs or anything like that. I always feel a bit off, so maybe I've got some sort of intolerance to it. I don't know. All I know is it pretty much doesn't do me much good. Plus, generally, it's very fatty anyway. So, let's have a look at these bad boys. Now, I ate 4 of these, as you see, with no milk. So no cereal, no nothing, no sugar, no honey, nothing. The only thing I had with these is water. So I was literally eating them, one after the other. And it took a little while, but I think I could get into the swing of sort of like chewing them down quick enough. It's good for mastication as well. It's sort of like you're using the jaw a lot, so you're chewing a lot. It's good for that. And one of the reasons why I did this is because I am one of these few people that if you see them in shops, they'll often be checking the stats, and I've been doing this for years anyway, of the nutrition, typical values. And let's say, for example, per 100 grams. The reason why I had 4 of these is because each one weighs 25 grams. So 4 of them comes to 100 grams. And the way I look at it is that's a good sum. So out of those 100 grams, you got 1.8 grams of fat, 0.4 grams of saturated fat. Carbohydrates are 64 grams. Carbohydrates aren't bad for you. They're not necessarily a bad thing as long as they contain very few sugars, because that's where a lot of carbohydrates come from, especially in cereals, like fortified cereals and stuff like that, your Cocoa Pops and your Frosted Shreddies and all that kind of stuff. They've got like 28 grams of sugar at least, typically. And of which sugars, 0.7 grams out of 100 grams. So less than 1 gram is sugar. Then 13 grams is fiber, 13 grams is protein. And there's less than 0.01 grams of salt. So essentially it's almost the perfect breakfast. Statistically speaking, now I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. All I know is statistically speaking, that is one of the most perfect things you could ever have. If it had 24 grams of protein, that would be more perfect, but I've heard something like you can only have so much protein before your body doesn't really sort of accept it anymore. You're just kind of like overloading and it's not really absorbing anymore, so there's not too much of a problem there. Plus I'm quite lightweight, even at like my heaviest, no, it wasn't my heaviest is like 12 stone 8, but typically yesterday I weighed in at 11 stone 3, and that was me like trying to put weight on, get fat. And I don't get that big, so I'm quite skinny frame and all of that, so I look really bad when I'm fat, which is one of the reasons why I do want to bulk out, or not so much bulk out, but just get skinny and sort of well-toned, fit again. And what was I saying? I don't know. 13 grams of protein is kind of fine as long as I find sort of like another 100 grams of protein throughout the day. I didn't today. Well, I don't say it has to be 100 grams. I can't remember what it is. It's sort of like the amount of kilograms you weigh is how many grams of protein you should be having, or someone said pounds. If it was pounds, then that means like 140 grams of protein. I don't know about that. I'm sure someone could fill me in on that, but it's probably one of those things that's like a myth. Some people will say this, some people will say that. As for lunch, obviously I spoke before saying it's my nan's birthday today, so well, rather it's her birthday in 3 days time, but we went down as a family to celebrate, and didn't have a meal out, but did order a meal in, and it was a big fish and chips, like British fish and chips, and the cod, battered cod, was like that large. It's freaking huge, and loads of chips. I was good though. I didn't add any salt, but I did add pepper. I pretty much put pepper on everything. If anyone's got any problems with pepper, let me know, because I put pepper on a lot of stuff and I love it. And I don't think there's any really negative sides to pepper. But anyway, that's another discussion for something else. So I had that. Because, like I was saying, I was accepted. Generally speaking, I'm going to be quite obsessive and psycho with what I eat, and I would call that kind of psycho. I'm sure I can be a bit more reasonable than that. But unfortunately, I'm just, like I say, I'm just that kind of person of extremes. As I will be willing to do that. That doesn't bother me to do that. And so I was trying to think, should I bring in my own packed meal with chicken, lean meat, or something like that, and vegetables? I thought, nah, things are going to crop up every now and then. I might be required to go out for a meal or something like that. If it happens, it happens. I'll work around it, try to do some more exercise for that day to overcompensate. But this was day one, so brand new to exercising. Which brings me to the point, actually, I skipped ahead. Although I was going on the meal, I suppose that's for breakfast, 4 of those. Cotton chips, battered cotton chips for lunch. And 25 grams of this, which is just whey protein, and that is essentially your 25 grams of protein in there as well as my dinner, because I was so stuffed from the lunch, and I still am quite full, and I'm not going to eat anymore because I'm not going to be that long until I go to bed, and it's probably best not to eat anymore past the sort of like 6 o'clock time or closer towards bed. So I didn't eat that much today, and generally I'm going to try if I can to fit in like 5 meals a day. That's really bloody hard to do. I've tried it before, and they have to be small meals because I can't eat that much. I just don't so much eat that much anymore. It's just the way it is. But yeah, let's talk about the exercise. I went down to the gym today, and I was there for about 40-ish minutes. I would have gone longer if I didn't take so long to get ready first thing in the morning, because I'm out of the habit. I had to sort of like work out where my gym stuff was. I set up some of the stuff the day beforehand, like some of the clothes I'll be wearing, the locker key, stuff like that. I need the towel, things like that, spare clothes for like changing out of or changing into afterwards, and little things like that. But obviously you wake up the next day and you just sort of like, it just takes stuff that always takes longer. Plus I walked there, so to get to the gym from my house where I live took 40 minutes of walking. I could probably do it quicker now. I think I could hit 30 minutes, because even walking I started to feel like my shins were starting to feel a bit of pain. Not like bad pain, but you know, pain from sort of like exercising, because it's been so long. I haven't really truly sort of like sped walk. I didn't speed it too much, but I did walk fast pace, and doing that does actually sort of batter your shins in, especially if they're not used to it. So then I went to the gym, and I didn't do any free weights. I wanted to, but I didn't really have the time to go into it. One of the first things I did was wish I could remember the name of the machine. It's not the treadmill, it's like the cardiovascular machine. You sort of like, you're going in a like circular motion. It's all very smooth, so it's very good for your ligaments and your knees and joints like that. There's very little impact. It's just consistent movement. And what I aimed for with that was to go for a really fast pace for 10 minutes, 5 minutes forwards, 5 minutes backwards, because you can sort of like go back on yourself. And I did that with a heart rate of about 170 plus is what I was aiming for, which is about well, it's 65 plus. No, it's more than that. Resistance. It's sort of like low, medium, high resistance. If you're working towards the low and the medium, you're going to be burning fat. If you're going high, then you're going cardio. You're working on your heart and stuff like that. Obviously, I want to get rid of fat and stuff like that, but I just keeping the heart rate going high anyway, and I wanted to sort of like really sweat a bit. So I was doing that for 10 minutes. That was a good start up. And then I moved on to sort of like some of the machines that I'm familiar with, because I've been to the gym here and there. So I did like wide pull-ups, but this is the assisted one. Did dips, and I went on another machine where you sort of like you pull the weight to you, and at the same time you pull it against you. And I also did another triceps free weight-ish machine, but it's still sort of like a technical machine where you pull down the weight and you try to keep your arms still as possible, so it absolutely canes at one if you do that on a decent weight. So I didn't do anything too strenuous or too difficult. The only thing that I did try to do, which was too strenuous and too difficult, was one natural wide pull-up. I could barely do one of those, and those are really difficult. I really hate doing those. So I thought, okay, that's fine. I don't mind that. I'll move on to the pull-up, because I used to be able to do like, you know, loads of those. I could barely do one of those as well. I was like, oh my god. Pretty freaking knackered. And it's just a sign of being out of the game for so long. It's technically been about 6 months since I last did any real exercise. I bike a lot and stuff like that, but other than that, I don't ever really do exercise between that point since World of Warcraft came out with the Draenor, and I started that. So it was fun, basically, and I got some good experience out of that. Some good, I feel like I made some progress there, just a little bit. I do want to go psycho, but at the same time, you've got to be careful. I'd much rather be careful, do some good hard work, but nothing that's going to break me, because if I injure myself, then that's like 2 months I'm going to be out, 1 to 2 months. And I've done that before, and that sucks so much, because I'm in the habit of trying to do this almost every day. And if I get some stupid injury from just going a little bit, just making myself, you know, work out a little bit more for, what, a minuscule benefit, and then be out of the game for a whole month, that's not worth it. No chance. So I always appreciate good form, which is what I was doing, and I also do it quite tough. I take 20 to 30 second breaks. If I'm in a real bad shape, then maybe I'll take up to a 60-second break, but technically I'm almost always doing 20 to 30 second breaks. So I'm seeing other people in the gym, and they're just sitting by the machine. They do like 1 set. I do 4 sets of 10, and that's 40 basically, for those that aren't so familiar with gym terms. And it's sort of like you do 10, and then you literally, you know, you take 20 to 30 seconds to breathe and try and get your breath back again, and then 10 again, and then that's the same. I'm doing like 3 sets of these before someone's even doing 1 set of theirs. And the way I approach it is a much better way to approach it. It's much better to exhaust yourself. You know, you want to keep the blood. I'm sure I'm going to get some controversy here, but then again, that's interesting discussion, isn't it? If you've got any opinions. In my opinion, I've been doing a little bit of research, and I've still got a lot more research to go, and as I learn more, I'll divulge that information and try to be as correct as possible. But in the early stages, I might be wrong, but all I know is that the more you sort of like, you keep yourself active, you're really pushing yourself, the more fresh blood is being pumped around your veins, you know, your fresh oxygen. It's really going to be much more beneficial for you to sort of keep that going, rather than sort of let it, you know, drain away, because your heartbeat lowers the longer you take between sets. So if you're keeping your sets very small, 20 to 30 seconds, 30 seconds to a minute is fine. That's just because I was impatient. I didn't have all that much time. I had 40 minutes before I had to get going again. And yeah, it's just, that's the way I prefer to do things as well. I think I want to go on a real push myself, because I don't want to spend hours in the gym. Not really. I'd much rather have a workout where I can get as much benefit from the gym if I just do 20 to 30 minutes, but they fucking kill me. Like, there's different types of exercises. Like, for example, if you went on the treadmill, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's like if you do 1 minute of running at, say, 10 kilometers an hour, and then for 30 seconds you run at 16 kilometers per hour, and then for that, then you switch back to 1 minute at 10 kilometers, and then 30 seconds, and repeating. I can't remember what that's called, and I'm sure one of you guys is going to know. But that, I have heard, is like the best way to truly train yourself, and it's horrible to do. You're dreading it, you're getting close to that point, you're like, oh shit, I'm going to have to do 30 seconds again. And when you get better at it, you have to do it for longer. You do it for like a minute, and you're basically sprinting, and then you go back to sort of running. So you don't even really go down to like a slow walk. You're still doing jogging or running, and then you go into sprinting. And it's that kind of thing. And you can do the same sort of thing with weights as well, basically, where you're just pushing yourself. You're doing more than you can basically handle. But that's the idea. You're supposed to exhaust yourself. If it's too easy, you're not really going to make progress from it. So that was my day, and I think it's been quite successful. I think when I got back, like a couple of hours ago, I listened to a bit of music, and I did some push-ups, some sit-ups, just some stretches. I did some squats. I don't have particularly heavy weights. Unfortunately, these are the only ones I have. I have some light pink ones, but they're technically not mine. But these, it says 4.5 kilograms, but I don't know if that's 4.5 kilograms on either side. I assume it's just 4.5 kilograms in total, so it ain't that heavy, to be quite frank with you. But I was doing like squats, sitting down, one each hand, going all the way up, all that kind of stuff, sort of like lifting out, up, bicep curls, pretty much doing what I can with what I've got. Otherwise, I think more push-ups and sit-ups are much more realistic because at least that's working your own body. I tried a little bit of planking as well. I just tried some stuff. I didn't do anything for too long, too hard. Just made sure that I sweat and then my heart rate is going fast. So that way you know your body's working, and doing that for at least 10 minutes. So the better I get at this, the longer I'm going to do it, but preferably not hours and hours. But I wouldn't mind doing like a hard jog or anything like that. You know, I could jog for hours. I used to do that. I literally have jogged for like an hour before. I've done races and things like that, like 10 kilometers and stuff like that. So it's not too out of my comfort zone to do that, but it's just kind of boring if you haven't got, like, fair enough, if I've got a treadmill at home, which I don't, and if I had like a big TV in front of me with Netflix playing, which I don't at the gym, they just have music TV channels basically, so that's not really anything interesting to watch. So unless I bring in my like tablet or something and stick down the front, but they don't normally like you bringing electronical devices in, you know, unless I do that. I don't know. So yeah, work in progress, day 1, and there's many more days to go, so I'll let you know how I get on as time goes by. This won't be necessarily a daily thing, but it'll be as I think of things or have things happen to me throughout the day. You know, I'll pop in and let you guys know how I've been getting on. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and take care, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.